Yes, welcome you all again to the session. So, last session I was briefing you about the models of communication, where we saw we have three models. One is linear model, where there is a chain of command. Such organizations will go with the linear model of communication. It is one way. Normally it is applied where there is a mass communication need to be happened. So, then we discussed about the second model, that is transactional model, which is also known as circular flow of model, which is proposed by Shannon and Weaver, where we saw there is a two-way communication happening between the sender and the receiver. Despite of the communication, the sender knows what is to be sent and the receiver understands it or not understands, he will give it in the form of a feedback to the sender. Then we also saw the last model, that is convergence model, which is also known as interactive model of communication, wherein it happens between a human and the machines, right. So, having understood these three models, today let us just try to understand the key principles of effective or successful communication. Now, what are they? There are 7 C's here. The first one is completeness. To say that a communication is successful or effective, the one element which is required is complete. Now, whatever one has to communicate, we should see to that we give the complete information. What happens when we give an incomplete information? The receiver will not be able to understand, and this incomplete information can lead to lot of distortion in the organization as well, and this can also hamper not just the productivity, but also the production can come to a halt. So, communication has to be complete. A simple example. We know that the business will have different departments. There will be marketing department, production department, inventory department, R&D department, a sales department as well. It is a sales department which will be closely working with the society, the customers. The sales department exactly knows the pulse of the customers. The sales department knows what exactly is the requirement of the products or services. Now, the information what the sales department has got, if it is able to in turn pass it on to the other departments as well, to the marketing department, and from the marketing department to the production department will be able to understand how much raw material has to be procured from the inventory. This will minimize the wastage, increase the productivity, isn't it? So, complete information has to be given, whoever is giving the information. So, principle of successful communication is communication has to be complete. Then there should be conciseness. There is no point beating around the bush, talking the same old things over and over again. What will happen? The listener, the receiver will lose the track. Keep the communication short. Brief is what it means, conciseness. That is where I have highlighted KISS. What does it mean? Keep the communication short and simple. Keep the information short and simple. This is the second principle for successful communication. Then the third element is consideration. Be considerate. Gone are the days of sympathy. Nobody wants sympathy. People want empathy, isn't it? What do we mean by empathy? Putting ourselves into the shoes of others, isn't it? So, I would just like to give an example. Mistakes are bound to happen. Nobody is perfect, isn't it? Nobody is Mr. Perfect. Mistakes are likely to happen in the organization. But there is a way to make the person understand his mistake, and there is a way the person to acknowledge a mistake also. Imagine an autocratic boss. What will be his tendency to pass on to the employee when the mistake has already happened? He will be yelling, shouting, degrading the employee or the subordinate, isn't it? Instead of that, if the manager or the boss is empathetic, tells the same thing in a softer tone, in a diplomatic way, where the subordinate feels that yes, my boss is correcting, there is something that I have committed, a mistake, my boss is correcting me to enhance my productivity, let me correct it. This will not only increase the morale, this will also increase the productivity, efficiency level of the employee. That is where a successful communication needs to incorporate consideration, be considerate. Then let us see the fourth C, clarity. Clarity means what? There should be clarity of speech, clarity of tone, clarity of pronunciation, clarity of usage of words. What word you are using should also be taken into cognizance. Words have different meaning. The same word may mean in different way to different people. So, clarity of speech is very important. To make you understand with an example, if I am saying King Ashoka was a great ruler, right? The same word ruler, I can use it in different form also. Children, you can make use of the ruler to draw a line. So, same word in the first example means a king or an emperor, whereas in the second example it means a ruler could be used to draw a straight line. So, let there be clarity of speech, tone, pitch, your voice modulation, clarity of way you look also indicates a successful communication. Then let us move on to the next C, concreteness. What do we mean by this? The communication has to be clear and specific. Do not keep the communication vague. Do not try to use too much of high-funded terminologies or jargons which could confuse the receiver. So, let it be direct to the point, specific. That is what concreteness means. Courtesy. The next C, the sixth C of successful communication or principles of successful communication is being courteous. Courtesy means what? Being humble, polite, kind, isn't it? Yes. Why is it required? These days, the technology has not just improvised the lifestyle of the people, but it has also created a lot of stress amidst the people. Right? Now, what happens in these circumstances? One has to be courteous. People are having more of stress. With this stress, mistakes are bound to happen. That is why these days organizations will have a professional counselor to counsel the employees, could be on the personal background or could be in the professional background. People need empathy. So, when you are communicating, try to be not just considerate about the other people, but also try to have the courtesy. Be humble while talking to the other person. So, this is another success element. Then we have correctness. Correctness of information needs to be taken care of. When I am delivering lecture to you all, I should bear in mind the information what I am sharing has to be correct, clear. The earlier session I gave you a short video of adversity to opportunity. If you have meticulously observed it, you can see the lady or the resource person there, how clearly, how precisely, how how much of clarity is there in a speech, the voice modulation, the eye contact what she develops, the persuasive skills, isn't it, the concreteness, the consideration, the complete information what she has given, where she was, how she was and where is she now, and what has enabled her to convert this adversity or the challenges into opportunity. All these elements we can see in that short video what I have shared with you all. That is where correctness of information, the information what you are giving it to the other party has to be correct. If you do not give the correct information, that can misguide the others, mislead the others, it can create misunderstanding in the organization as well, and it can harm the functioning of the organization as a whole. That is where correct information has to be passed on. If a person is known not to give the correct information, that also affects your image, your credibility will be at stake. So, always remember, when you are communicating, correct information has to be passed on. So, these are all the 7 C's which we have to bear in mind for an effective communication. Let us just try to see once again. First one is, a communication has to be complete, isn't it? It should be complete, whatever the message we are going to give, and it should be short and brief. Then there should be consideration, then it should have the clarity, it should have the concreteness, it should be specific to the point, it should be courteous, and at last the information what we are passing on, it should be correct. So, if we take all these 7 C's into consideration, certainly our communication is going to be effective, successful even in the organization as well.